I'm sorry.
Okay, you're sorry.
Hey, look, I didn't see anything.
You saw everything.
I got a lousy memory.
Oh, sure.
Hi, we're back. We are back again for another episode of AOA, the Who's the Boss podcast. Does that any better? I don't think so.
I think it was a lot better.
I'm going to keep working on that. I'm Tori.
I'm Kevin.
And we are here to rewatch every episode of Who's the Boss and recap it, hopefully in time for a reboot. We're going to see if we can do this. I think we can.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I think we can.
Okay. Yes. So let's dive right in. We're going to escape from the fact that our neighbors are having an enormous party in the middle of a pandemic. Yeah. So you hear any screaming or splashing in the background, that is what that is. But hopefully you will not. So this next episode is called Briefless Encounter. I want to touch on one thing before we get started.
Okay. Because
I feel like I didn't really give Danny Pintauro like a fair briefing in the last episode. So he hasn't, since Who's the Boss ended, he really hasn't worked as much as the other cast members. Mm-hmm. But he does have a web series that he does called The Quarantine Bunch, which seems really cute. It's actually a bunch of other child actors, and they kind of get together and like do the sort of a Zoom, which has become a very popular form of entertainment.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I know. I actually want to track that down and check it out. And then after Who's the Boss, he came out as openly gay. He is married to his husband, and they live in Austin, Texas. And he is now a vet technician. But on Twitter, he has said that he's planning on to be involved in the reboot. I'm not sure in what capacity, so it looks like he will be coming back to acting. Which that'd be really interesting, like, because he's gonna, if he continues being a vet technician, then his customers will be like, hey, we saw you last night on Who's the Boss?
Right.
Which is cute.
Right, if they have him come back, yes.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, hopefully. And it'll be interesting to see what they do with the Jonathan character, because it would be great to have a gay character represented. Whether or not they will go in that direction with Jonathan, since that was never really the intention on the original run, but I feel like it could easily fit in, and it would be nice to see that representation. Okay, so now, and I just want to thank the people who did listen to our first episode. We have a few listeners.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and we have like 17 followers on Instagram.
All right.
Yeah, we are well on our way
Yes, we are.
27 listeners, which is our goal.
Which is the goal, yes.
Yeah, I think we can hit it, guys. So tell your friends if you're enjoying this. Okay, so Briefless Encounter. The air date for this episode was September 27th, 1984. So it followed right after the pilot as far as airing, but it was not shot directly after the pilot, obviously. So normally they'll shoot a pilot, they shop it around, and then once it gets its time slot, which I guess originally the pilot was supposed to be a mid-season replacement, and then they ended up holding it, and it became part of the fall lineup. So did you know that in between shooting the pilot and shooting the next episode, that Tony Danza got arrested?
No.
Yes.
I did not know that.
So apparently he got into a fight at a restaurant and was arrested, and they were pretty scared that they weren't going to be able to continue the show if he got jail time. But he did not, and he got community service.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah. So you can kind of see the amount of time that passed between the pilot and this next episode, too. Like, if you look at Jonathan's teeth, like in the pilot, he's missing, I think, the two front. And by this time, he has grown them in. So both of the kids are like a little bit older if you really look closely. But so the original TV guide summary for this episode is, quite by accident, Tony catches a glimpse of Angela au naturel. I never say that right.
Au naturel,
Au naturel.
I have no idea.
And the guest star for this episode is Nancy Lane, who plays Professor Cindy Morrell. So it opens up with Angela calling Tony upstairs. How long do you think Tony's been there at this point? Right, like a week or two?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, it's everything's the next day, but you're right. It probably has been.
Yeah, because it's long enough for Angela's room to be pretty messy.
Right.
But I
right,
guess
that's true.
Like not completely disgusting. But so it starts off, she calls Tony upstairs, he goes upstairs, and we realize that Tony has not gone inside her bedroom.
Right.
Or her bathroom to clean at all. Her bedroom is a pink nightmare.
Right. Noticed that. And
the bathroom too.
And what is that over the bed?
I haven't. Yeah, like some sort of like macrame,
canopy.
crochet canopy.
Ugh, yeah.
Yeah. Those were some interest, but I bet probably when I watched that in 1984, I thought that was a beautiful bedroom.
Oh yeah.
Especially being a kid. But
elaborate.
Yeah, so we quickly find out that Tony has not gone. So I don't really know what he expected. I mean, I guess he thought that she would clean her own room and her own bathroom. But
yeah. Her unmentionables.
Right. So, yes. So he hasn't gone in there. He's kind of just feels like this is her personal space. He shouldn't be in there if there's anything that's too personal to mention. And it's like he mentions false eyelashes. Like on the list of things that a woman could have in her bathroom that you wouldn't want mentioned, like false eyelashes, really. Right. But it's an 8 o'clock show.
Right.
So he hasn't gone in there. He hasn't been cleaning. I love the line with well, if you find anything too personal to mention, just clean it and don't mention it.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was a great line. So once he gets in there, he decides to kind of rearrange some stuff. Like you can tell that Tony is one of those guys that really, no matter what job he has, he's going to do it 110%. So, which I think is also kind of probably Tony Danza's influence because like they said that he was very much like that on the set of Who's the Boss as far as like taking over, being involved in every aspect of the show.
Right.
Even cooking meals for the crews on like show nights and stuff. Like he does whatever he does 110%. Which I think sometimes caused some clashes, but according to the E! True Hollywood story. But, you know, you can just see that he really takes pride in his work. So Tony Micelli is similar to that and quickly wants to like rearrange how she's getting ready in the morning to shave off some time.
Right.
I thought it was cute too how so then when we go downstairs there's that parallel where Jonathan's putting his gloves on first and then trying to shove his gloved hand in his jacket and Samantha's trying to help him.
Right, like he learned from Angela in an efficient way.
So
and I back upstairs though, I like the comment where he says that a walrus could take a bath in there and like she's supposed to take offense to that. Right. She's as skinny as a rail. And he's all, hey, no offense. It's just funny.
Yes.
Because the bathtub is apparently huge.
Yeah, and I don't know if you noticed, but there was a little rubber ducky on the corner of the bathtub, which I thought was pretty cute.
A grown woman with a rubber ducky.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that happened up there, which I guess I should have covered while we were up there, is the again with the sexual tension, I guess, with the I've always pictured you in the shower.
Yes.
That was funny.
Yeah, that's a good part. I like that.
And she's like, well, no, I mean, she means she pictured him as a shower person, not a bath person. I've always pictured you in the shower.
Right. But I also like Tony's complaining that he doesn't have a bathtub.
Right.
I wonder too, you think Tony shares the bathroom with the kids or he has one in his room?
I don't know. That's a good question.
You would think the kids would have a bathtub. So maybe Tony has like a 3/4 bath in his room.
We can only imagine.
I will imagine that with no problem. Okay, so they get off to school, and we find out that there is a parents' meeting that night.
Right.
Jonathan tells Angela that
the last minute.
Right. Yeah, and he brought the paper home, but he didn't actually give it to her. Like bringing the paper, and we have kids.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Right, exactly.
Same exact thing. That's real.
Yes. So I thought that was a good thing for them to touch on too, because it's like, you know, Angela's struggling with the idea of like having to put work aside for being there for her child, and I feel like that's a common thread that parents feel, working parents So, and seeing that in 84 was probably a little, I mean, my mom worked in 84, and I know a lot of moms did, but a lot of moms still didn't.
Right.
So it was probably a little more of a, interesting storyline to see in 1984. And at that point, she's not, like, I feel later in the series, Tony would probably cover that parents' meeting, but this is maybe only the first 2 weeks, and they're not really, like, that point in their relationship yet.
Right.
So, yes, she goes off to work, and I guess she's thinking that she's going to try to, like, reschedule stuff so that she can be there for Jonathan.
Right.
So, then Mona comes home.
On her bike.
Right, on her bicycle.
Still on her bike.
Yes.
I don't know how many episodes she's on her bike, so...
Yeah,
I'm keeping track of that.
Yeah, and I like how she throws her lunchbox at Tony. So she's like, I mean, he's basically her housekeeper, although she doesn't live there at this point.
Right.
She has her apartment, but yeah, so he must be making lunch. So I don't know if she comes by in the morning and picks up her lunch. He basically has 3 kids to take care of with Mona.
Right. And I think the bike always comes in the house.
Right, with his little horn. It was a nice bike.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, well, I guess you could
couldn't
leave it outside. But it's Connecticut. I mean, here we might not want to leave it outside, but...
No, I probably can't leave it outside in Connecticut either now.
Yeah, possibly. So, okay, so Mona goes in the kitchen to make a snack, and then this random woman shows up at the door.
Right.
And says
Rings the doorbell.
Right, rings the doorbell because her car broke down. She needs to call the auto club. So, like, instantly, you can tell Tony's attracted to her. She's attracted to him. So I said earlier, that's played by Nancy Lane. She's playing Professor Cindy Morale. And I looked her up on IMDb, and the interesting thing about her is that she was a writer on Taxi.
Right.
Just 1 episode. But so I wonder if she knew Tony Danza, and that's how she was in that part. She hasn't really done a lot of acting work.
Well, and actually, her only writing credit is Taxi.
Yeah.
And then she went on to do... that was in 1981. I'm sorry. So before that, she was in Rhoda, it looks like, for about 7 episodes. Yeah, I looked it up,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And then some show called Angie, which I've never heard of, Young Doctors in Love, and then The Duck Factory.
Yeah, I've never heard of any of those shows.
I know, and then she was on Who's the Boss, Trapper John, MD, a few other things.
Trapper John I've heard of.
Yeah, but it was just all one episode.
Yeah, character actor.
Yeah, character actor.
Anything recent or no?
No, last thing was 1989, Just the 10 of Us.
Oh, okay.
And do you remember that?
The title does sound familiar to me.
And also Dear John.
But I'd have to look it up.
She was Carol on Dear John. I don't know what that means. Again, 1 episode.
Just the 10 of Us might have been the Growing Pains spinoff. I'll look that up later. Okay. Anyway.
Go down a rabbit hole here.
Yeah, I know. And that's what that always happens when you get into IMDb and start looking around. So, okay, so she comes in, asks to use the phone, and then Mona comes out and basically says, like, "Oh, Professor Morel." So she is her professor of psychology at school, but, like, she didn't give Mona a ride home, so I'm still not really sure what she's doing there.
Right, that was my question.
Yeah,
I was going to ask later, but...
She and Tony set up a date for that evening? Yeah, that evening.
Right.
And then she goes to leave, and he's like, well, like, didn't you need to call the auto club? And she's like, no, I just used that as an excuse.
Right.
So...
That's the thing. And then I thought, when we were watching the episode, I thought you were saying, wait till later, like, you're going to see... Like, they never... Like, something was cut or something. Like,
yeah.
She saw him...
Did she, like, see him bringing in the mail? Or she was looking through the windows and saw a hot guy vacuuming the curtains?
Right, right.
That's the episode where he does that, and that goes in the open. And, yeah, and so...
It's interesting that she... And then is it a complete coincidence that Mona's there?
Right, yeah.
Or did she know? They don't explain any of that.
They don't,
which is bizarre.
Just hot woman shows up on the front door, and he's excited about it. So, okay, so they make their date, and Mona's super excited now that he's going out with her professor because she wants him to make a good impression. And she goes into the kitchen to make whatever that green concoction was, but, I mean, there was a serious chance that could have backfired on him and given him diarrhea or something.
Yeah, because it had raw eggs and oysters in it. That could have put him on the can for the evening.
Yeah, such a sitcom set up there.
I know, because Mona wants him to, quote unquote, please her.
Right.
So she can get a good grade. So she's using Tony to get a good, because I guess the professor was about to
grade the
her
midterms.
midterm.
Yeah.
Which is another bizarre.
Yeah, and that I mean, well, we'll get into it later, but I'm a little worried for Mona's grade because that lady was not the nicest.
Right.
So then Angela comes home. She's rearranged her schedule so that she can be there for Jonathan's parent-teacher meeting, but turns out the meeting isn't until next week. Yeah.
Yep.
So at this point, there's been 2 episodes. Jonathan has not answered the door. Jonathan has gotten the parent-teacher meeting incorrect. And then she tells Jonathan, please go tell Tony I'm home, and Jonathan does not do that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonathan reminds me of our youngest.
So it's like, Jonathan, come on.
Right.
You got to pull it together here, kid. So Angela says that she's going to go upstairs, take a nice bath, kind of relax because she's upset about the fact that she moved a whole business meeting around and doesn't need to go anywhere tonight.
Right.
So...
And of course, because Jonathan failed to tell anybody that Angela was home, the next part happens.
Right. So then, here we go. Mona and Tony are in the kitchen talking, and he's talking about how...
drinking his high-potency sex drink.
And then talking about how nice it would be to take a bubble bath before his date. Which, that's like a... I mean, that is a very Tony Micelli thing.
Yeah.
He's way more... I don't want to say feminine, because that's not appropriate, but, like, he has a very soft side.
Yes.
So she encourages him to go on upstairs and take a bath. She'll work it out. Like, okay, so Mona really oversteps a lot because, first of all, she just hired this man without talking to her daughter. Then she's using him for his housekeeping services, and now she's like, oh, sure, go take a bath in her bathroom, and I'll handle it. I'll take care of her.
But didn't, at some point, Angela say he could use the bathtub?
No, not...
She never did in the
not
beginning.
Not yet. Not at this point.
She just said you can come in here anytime.
Right.
And gather up my unmentionables and leave.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah, we didn't even talk about the fact that
she couldn't
he
say
was
the word
supposed to
underwear.
do all of her... Yeah.
Right, which was the point,
underwear.
which is why he was brought into the room.
Right.
Which he had never been in before.
So he gets all of his stuff together. He goes upstairs to take a bath, opens up the door, and Angela's getting out of the bathtub.
Right.
So I have some backstory on this whole situation. So this is only the 2nd episode of the show, obviously. So I guess the producers of the show took Judith Light out for lunch and asked her if she would be comfortable doing something naked. Obviously, the audience wasn't going to see it, but their plan was for her to actually not have anything on top. And I guess they just needed her to agree to that, I guess, even for just the shooting of this, when they do like the showing her shoulder, showing her stomach, showing her thigh or whatever, however they shoot it, to get those little glimpses of what Tony would have seen. So she did agree to that, but I guess at some point along the way, no one told Tony Danza. So I don't know if they did it. So when he did a reunion show on the Tony Danza show back in like 2004, I think, at some point, and they talked about it, and he kind of brought it up as if it was a prank on him.
Right, like he just thought he was going to walk into an empty room.
Like, yeah, we'll walk into her wearing
something.
like a bathing suit top.
Her skin, some kind of...
Right, and shorts. And so then, yeah, so there is a cute clip that you can see. They're pretty loud next door.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, sorry. You can see he walks in, and it's not the clip that they used on the show. So I think when I first heard about it, I thought that they had just played a joke on him in the first one, and then she was wearing something the rest of the time.
Right.
But according to Judith, which I'll play this clip, they just had decided that she would go topless for the scene. So when they shot it, she was not wearing anything on top, but not as any kind of joke on Tony Danza, but just to get like a more real reaction.
I actually, actually wasn't a prank.
Okay.
It was more that I just didn't have anything on the top. And I don't actually remember whether we told him or I told him we were going to do it, or he didn't know about it, or the producers were supposed to tell him and nobody informed him, and then we did it, and then he was surprised. I think at some level they didn't realize what a good actor he was and that he could actually do it. But I knew I felt safe with him, and that I could do that, and that he would be respectful of me.
I think it's really sweet, too, how she's saying that she felt very safe. Because that had to be kind of an awkward situation when it's only your second episode shooting a show. You really don't know the actors and stuff that well yet. So.
Right. I mean, I'm sure they met, obviously, a couple times, but still.
Right. Yeah, but that was cute.
Interesting thing about that nude scene, what I always thought every time I've seen it, is how it was shot like The Graduate. I don't know if anybody's ever seen... If you've ever seen the movie The Graduate, the first time Dustin Hoffman sees...
Mrs. Robinson.
Yeah, and Anne Bancroft, right?
Yeah.
Anne Bancroft. Mrs. Robinson for the first time. It's like the director tried to capture what he's seeing, and it showed different... Well, of course, you do see nude parts of her body. I mean, it's very quick, but then they do show like a hip, and like just it's shot very almost the same way. Like you see what Tony sees, except that he saw more, obviously.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting. Like I don't know if they meant to do it that way. If that was the idea.
Yeah, I mean, would imagine they did it as like a homage to that.
It's pretty cool. It was done well.
But they really amp up the sexual tension now. We're only in the second episode.
Right, and he's seeing her naked.
Right. And so, Judith Light has said in a different interview that basically, like, now he's going to have this image of her in his head for the rest of the time that he works there. So, they definitely set them up early on to have that kind of chemistry and that tension. And it works between Tony Danza and Judith Light, I think, really well. Very well cast.
Then after that happens, then Tony's downstairs on the couch.
Yes.
And Angela, coming down dressed as an auto mechanic, tries to get her briefcase or something really quick.
She couldn't have more
I don't know what that
clothes
outfit
on.
was.
I know. Like a full jumper.
It literally wasn't. If it was blue, it would have been an auto mechanic.
Right.
Just imagine an auto mechanic's outfit. That's pretty with oversized shoulder pads.
Right.
That's what she had on.
And then trying to hold her briefcase in front of herself.
Right, like she can see through the clothes.
Like she's still naked. Still can see her through all of those clothes.
Right.
So she's obviously very embarrassed. Tony's very embarrassed. He doesn't want her to be upset with him, and she's saying, like, what were you doing in there? And you said I could come in there, but she didn't exactly say come in there to take a bath. She just said he could come in there to, and like their argument is kind of a little married couple-ish already too, where he's like, well, I don't have dinner for you because you didn't tell me you were coming home.
Right.
And, she doesn't feel like she really has to alert him to when she's going to be home. So then they're trying to move past it, and no one else has to know, and of course Mona knows. So did Mona just hear them? Did Tony tell her? Right,
or did Angela tell her?
Yeah,
I guess they don't really cover that.
Yeah, I don't think Angela would have told her, but Mona just knows everything.
Right.
Because she's Mona. So, yes.
But the great thing about that scene, unless I'm jumping ahead a little bit, is it's the first, like she says, I feel like I don't have any control of the situation, and it's the first true who's the boss reference.
Right.
Like she says, who is the boss?
Right,
Are you the boss? Am I
yep.
the boss? You know what I mean? It just was kind of a...
Yeah, she has that great line that I actually bought that T-shirt for our girls, where she says, who's the boss around here? Is it me?
Right,
or
that's
maybe
what it
it's
is.
my mother, or maybe it's you. Yes.
Right. I knew it was something like that. I was going to botch it.
I love that one.
Yeah. But that's the first time that reference is made.
Yes. Yeah, because, throughout the show, I mean, we've always said that Mona's the boss, but throughout the show, what they've said is that the boss kind of changes. Like, it could be different from episode to episode. And yeah, so this is really the first time where she feels like she has no control over the situation.
Right.
So as she's yelling that Tony saw her naked, she opens up the front door, and who's standing there but his
The
date.
lady with the mullet.
Right. Yes. Professor Morel with her. I mean, I'm sure that hairstyle was hot.
I know,
in
but it
1980.
just seemed pretty aggressive.
Yes. Like, now, looking at it now, it seems a little off-putting, but like, I'm sure at the time I probably like wanted that haircut.
Yeah, that's true. It was 1984.
Right. So the professor comes in, and they decide to do sort of a like role play situation to make Angela feel better. Mona gets in on it because she kind of wants to show off in front of her professor, I feel. And like, it's the most ridiculous. Like, that wouldn't make me feel any better. Like,
No.
if I had.
No. Tony's pretending to take a bath on
Right.
the couch.
But the best part is Tony Micelli's little fake bath.
I know, where he's scrubbing his feet in the air.
And blowing bubbles.
Blowing bubbles in
Right.
the air.
Because that's the thing about him, is you could totally see him doing that,
Right.
because he is such kind of a child in some aspects. So they do the role play. It doesn't really make Angela feel any better, but like, I feel like the whole feel in the room really takes a turn when the professor kind of goes after Angela, basically saying that she's a repressed personality, and
Right.
that she probably wanted Tony to see her naked because it excited her, and you can really see where like things just turn.
Right.
And you also really see how much Tony's already kind of on Angela's side. Like, I don't really feel like he didn't go out with her because she was his boss. I feel like he really was offended for Angela and kind of, wanted to stick up for her, which was sweet.
Right. Yeah.
So again, we see that he's a really good guy. So they break off the date. He sends her on her way. And we get that iconic scene that ends up in the credits, where they all kind of sit down, and Mona says, "This is really the first time I feel like we're a family." But then, of course, just gets a dig in on Angela about they're the only 3 people who have seen her mole.
Right. Yeah.
And
I know, right? Like, for a minute it's touching or whatever,
Right.
and then Mona does her
Yes.
thing.
So Mona.
I know, and the other thing is we're never going to know what grade Mona got on that exam.
I know. I don't think it was good.
I have a feeling it wasn't, because
Yeah.
Tony ruined it.
Right. And I mean, Professor Morel she wasn't nice. So
No.
I feel like she probably would have been vindictive.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I wish we would have gotten some follow-up on that. Be interesting.
I know. We'll never know.
No, we'll never know. But like, also on the mole thing, real quick,
Yeah.
Angela was married, so she says we're the only 3 people who have ever seen your mole, but
Right.
it can't be true.
Right. And I mean, I'm sure she's been with other people
Right.
that might have seen the mole. I don't know. But I guess that...
Yes.
Um,
oh yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that's it.
Well, no, the only other thing was that there was no AOA.
There wasn't. Yes, you're right.
But I did document one, like, yeah.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah. That was pretty good. That was a good impression.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Well, no one's watching.
Yeah. So yeah, we didn't get that this
I know.
episode, but
So we're only at 1, I think. 2 episodes in, we
Yeah.
only have 1.
okay, it's gonna pick up, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know it has to.
Yeah.
Or else we would not have called this podcast that.
That is true. There wouldn't be merchandise out there with it on there.
That's true, too.
So all right, well, thank you. That is the end of. We've now made it through 2 entire episodes.
Yes, but one last thing before we
Yes.
do go. We need to rate this episode.
Oh right.
Cannot
yes.
forget to
Okay.
do that. So
Yes, yes.
you go ahead and go first.
All right. So, I should have thought about this more, actually.
Well, you want me to?
Yeah, you go first.
I mean, overall, it was another good episode. I don't know if it was as good as the pilot, but I on the AOOA scale, I would give it about 6.5.
Okay, that's pretty solid.
I think it's a pretty solid rating. Still a good episode,
Yes.
and actually maybe could have given it more of a better rating, but because it was mildly groundbreaking for 84.
Yeah.
The way it was shot, like they could have just showed her bedroom door. He walks in, you hear her scream. I mean, there's plenty of ways they could have just done it the traditional way those kind of scenes were done. So the way it was shot was interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7. I'm gonna go with 7 OAs.
Okay.
Because this is a fan favorite. Like if you ship Tony and Angela, which I do, this is a pretty shippy episode for the two of them. So I'll go with a solid 7.
Okay. I can't argue with that.
No.
It was a good episode.
Not. And it's funny too because when I watched this show as a kid, I was way more like into wanting to be Alyssa Milano. But now as I watch this as a woman older than Angela is playing on this show, I'm way more into the Tony and Angela relationship, which is super cute.
Yeah.
All right, so if you would like to tell us anything that we've missed, if there was a part of that episode, please reach out to us. We are at Who's the Boss Podcast on Instagram.
Yes.
Or you can go to anchor.fm/WTB podcast. There you can even leave us a message if you want to say anything about the episode, and we can play it in a future episode.
Yeah, I mean, or if you have any complaints, concerns,
Yes.
or even ideas, if there's something you want to hear on the show,
Yes.
something you want us to talk about, throw it our way, and let's see how it goes.
Yeah, and also we want to end every episode with someone doing a rendition of the podcast. Of the theme song. So we have a few lined up, but if you know anyone out there, or if you are a musician, please do one, put it up on YouTube and let us know.
Yeah,
Sure.
any way, shape, or form, however you covered the song is fine.
Yes.
And we'd like to hear it and maybe use it in the show.
Yes.
And with that, today's cover rendition of Brand New Life, or Who's the Boss theme song, is a ukulele cover by, and I hope I don't botch this name, Xenia Lau. So, yeah, that's today's cover.
Great.
Take it away.
If you like this podcast, please subscribe and tell all your friends and give you a big pat on the back.
There's a time for love and a time for living. You take the chance and face the wind. Open road and a road that's in. Brand new life around the bend. There were times I lost a dream or two. Found the trail, and at the end was you. There's a path you take and a path not taken. The choice is up to you, my friend. Nights are long, but you're on your way to a brand new life around